you will select or select the project manager depending on the on the ability of the person. Next slide, Bongs. Meron din sinasabi dito, other may thrive in on short duration projects that can result in constant pressure environment. So, yun na nga, gaya ng sinabi ko, gaya sa atin, siguro magta-thrive tayo sa mga short duration projects. Project management cannot succeed unless a good project manager is at the controls. So it is always important na you as a project manager has the control, no, overall control of the project. It is far more likely that project managers will succeed if it is obvious to the subordinates that the general manager appointed them. So meron ding politics dyan, no? And lastly, usually a brief memo to the line managers are enough. No? Next slide, Bongs. So these are the major responsibilities of the manager. So one is to produce.
Sorry.
One is to produce the end item. Sorry, with the available resources and within the constraints of time, cost, and performance technology. So that's why in the planning phase, you have to really define yung given time mo and the available resources. Kumbaga sa atin, yung mag-ari of forces ka kung sa planning, sa military planning. So that is very important for you to be able to budget your time very well, no? Kung anong mga phases ng project mo. And also to meet contractual profit objectives. And lastly, to make all required decisions, whether they be for alternatives or termination. Next slide. So kanina, ito yung mga responsibilities naman ng project manager. To act as the customer and upper level and functional management communications focal point. So ikaw yung magsisilbing ikaw yung pumapagitna, no, between the customer and the upper level and functional management. And to negotiate with all functional disciplines for accomplishment of the necessary work packages within the constraints of time, cost, and performance. So lagi yan, yung time, cost, and performance, lagi mong talagang as a project manager, yun yung responsibility mo na ikaw yung mag-orchestrate niyan. And lastly is to resolve all conflicts. Of course, that's normal as a manager in general. Next slide, Bongs.
Ayan na, Bongs.
So ito naman, shown in the slide are the personal characteristics of a project manager. So ambition, activity, forcefulness, effectiveness. Second, enthusiasm, well-organized and disciplined, able to balance technical solutions with time, cost, and human factors, able to identify problems, willing to make decisions, yun, yung hindi ka magteka-teka. So once a problem has been identified, you must be able to resolve it, no, immediately. And lastly is being able to maintain proper balance in the use of time. Generally sa lahat ng sa projects talaga, yung time constraints, time constraint is yun yung laging critical dyan. So dapat marunong ang project manager na mag-budget ng time. Next slide. So ito as shown are the skill requirements for managers. So one is team building, leadership, conflict resolution, technical expertise, planning, organization. All of these things are important, no, skills of a manager. Lalo na yung sa resource allocation din, no? Kasi kung sa resource allocation, kung siyempre dapat alam mo kung saan yung i-priority mo, no, doon sa project na yan. Kasi hindi man pwedeng buhos-buhos lang. So, of course, you also have to budget your resources. Saan ka mag-focus, saan ka magastos ng malaki, saan ka magastos ng lesser. Next slide. So, today's project managers, the primary skills needed to be an effective project manager in the 21st century are one, the knowledge of the business, two, the risk management, and three, the integration skills. Yung integration skills, I believe it was earlier discussed by my group mate, Major Hoson. Next slide. So as shown is a comparison of a project manager in the early days compared to the present years, no? Early years compared to the present years. So as you can observe, pareho lang naman, no? Meron silang technical skills lahat, may business conceptual skills, but nagva-vary lang sila doon sa emphasis, no? For example, in the early years, they focus on the technical skills, while the contemporary project managers are focusing on the quantitative skills and the business conceptual skills. Next slide, Bongs. So shown, no, still a comparison between the early years project managers or project management compared to the present year project management. So noong mga sinaunang panahon or early years, so they put more time in planning and replanning with team, no? Whereas yung present day ngayong mga present year o later year na mga project management is more on giving more emphasis on integration management. So it is very important, no, yung lalo na yung sa integration management, kasi you will have to look into the lahat ng elements ng project mo, no, including the tasks, the resources, the stakeholders, and all the deliverables. Next slide, Bongs.
Tao mo, mas madali silang sumunod. Ano? And at the same time, mas maiintindihan mo siya. No? For example, you have a subordinate na lagi nakasimangot. So if you will not be able to know some naman lang, hindi naman kailangan lahat no? Some of his personal matters, hindi mo siya maintindihan. No? You would always perceive na parang lagi lang siya nakasimangot or pinagsakluban lang lagi ng langit at lupa. Pero kung maintindihan mo siya, no, na there's something pinagdadaanan or there's something wrong at that moment, maintindihan mo siya. No? So sometimes we have to know it them personally. No? Okay. Sige, mamaya ako magtutuloy. Okay na yun, ma'am. Project management. Management of your time and stress, conflicts, and special topics. Sige, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Good evening to all our classmates.
Good evening, ma'am.
I'll be presenting this with Major Dolino, Claire Dolino. So, is she here already?
Present, present.
Ayan, sir. So let me just start the presentation po.
Sige, ma'am.
Major Delino will be starting the presentation, beginning with management of your time and stress.
Nagulat. Nagulat si ma'am. Sige, ma'am.
Pero hindi pa ata siya naka-ano slideshow. Ano, family.
Ayan na, ma'am.
So, good evening po, sir. No?
Good evening, ma'am.
Disclaimer lang, sir. Yung kinuha lang namin na our reference, we only have one reference. Yung pong yung provided na book, sir. So, doon lang po kami nag-rely. So, based on the reference provided, sir, ito po, so sabi din sa book, sir, an effective project manager is the manager and not the doer. So, minsan, nagkakaroon tayo ng confusion on ano ba ang ano ba ang task and role ng isang manager. So, but it also said that in the real world, managers often comprise their time by doing both. So, totoo lang naman, hindi naman natin pwedeng iutos lang ng iutos, kung di, kailangan din natin may gawin. So, and to have an effective project management, we also have to have a disciplined time management. So, next slide, please. Sorry, sir, medyo. So, as we all know, pagka yung time ay naubos, hindi na natin siya maibabalik. Yun yung pinaka-common notion about uh, the most precious resource that is time. So, project management naman, sometimes the time is not our friend. So, medyo the project management time is very limiting and kailangan natin siyang gamitin wisely uh, para maging effective and efficient. Next slide. Next, please.
pwede tayong mag-relax pa. Then it will still finish on the 32nd week. Dito naman sa activity B, activity B, D, E, and F, nakapula, on the other hand, cannot be delayed at all without extending the project completion time. So for example D, ito example D. Ito example D. So for example, D is delayed by 2 weeks, then the project completion time will be extended by 2 weeks. So any po dito sa activity B, D, E, F, ma-extend lang siya ng isang araw o isang linggo. Yung 32 weeks, magiging, sabihin natin isang linggo, magiging 33 weeks siya. Affected siya kasi wala siyang slack time, wala siyang extension. Kaya siya naging may zeros. Kung bago man, pero ma-affected yung finish date niya, which is 32 weeks. So, the critical path here is B, D, E, and F. So, nakita na rin natin to kanina, gumamit tayo ng critical path method. However, ito yung parang sinasabi ko na geek method, yung makikita mo talaga kung ilan yung slack. So, ano siya? Part 1 to siya sa PERT. This network scheduling technique is also part 1 of the program evaluation and review technique. So, for the last network scheduling technique, we have the PERT used to calculate the amount of time it will take to realistically finish a project. More in-depth calculation of uncertain activity and time. So, kung kanina in-depth na rin yon, ito mas in-depth pa to siya. Yun lang nga, ang downside lang nito, kailangan mo ng data. Kasi kung wala kang data, hindi mo ito magawa. Hanggang Gantt chart ka lang tsaka critical path method. So, meron ako example dito. So, meron ako activity, may predecessor. Meron tayong tinatawag na optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic. So, ito ang kinasabi dito na kung optimistic ka matatapos yung activity ng 4 weeks, so, okay. Then, pero most likely, matatapos siya in 6 weeks. Then, pessimistic ka, negative thinker ka, tatapos mo siya within 14 weeks. So, parang sasalain natin to, i-fill upan mo yan siya. Pag ma-fill up mo na yan, we can compute. For the, ang result nito would be the expected time. So, meron tayong symbol para hindi mawala. So, expected time would be E equals A plus 4M plus B over 6. So, ito po yun sila. As an example. Yan. So, we have 7. And we solve for the next. Then 12, 8, 9, 6, 5. So, makita natin na nakuha natin yung expected time. Kanina kasi sa critical path, yung kanina example, may expected time na tayo kaagad. Pero kung gusto natin gamitin tong PERT, dapat magbuo muna tayo ng optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic to get the expected time. So, pero ito na example, nagamit na natin to. Ito na yung example kanina. Ito na yung kanina na example. Pinakita ko lang. Yun. Summary. Ito yung critical path niya, BDEF, project completion with a symbol for project completion, mean, and 32. So balik tayo sa para makuha natin yung variance, shown is the formula. So try natin i-solve yun. Yun pala, pag gusto natin i-solve yung variance nito, doon na lang tayo sa critical path, which is the BD, E, and F. 35 minus 32. So given na natin ito na yung solution. So supposedly yung triangle na to dapat standard deviation, kaso nahirapan akong gumawa, triangle na lang. So let's say the probability na 35 weeks is 1.04. Dito siya somewhere part. So basing sa standard normal distribution table, kasi 1.04 siya eh. So, basing dito, matatapos, nasa ano lang siya, 0.8508. So probability is 8508. So times 100, so 85.08% probability that the project will be completed in less than 35 weeks. So ito na yung sinasabi kong parang geek mode para makuha mo talaga ilang probability pa rin that the project will be completed in less than 35 weeks. So in more than 31 weeks, more than, hindi. So yun na, na-solve na sa taas. Kinuha ko yung standard deviation dito siya, some part lang to. See, in more than man daw. So na-solve na natin yung kabila. So ito na namang see more than. So after 31 weeks. So after negative 0.35. Kung titingnan natin dito, nasa 36317. So kasi itong buong triangle is considered as one. Nakita natin, this part is 6.6368. So it means that 63.68 probability that the project will be completed in more than 31 weeks. Yes, kasi nga 32 weeks yung kalagitnaan. So ito naman, if you want a 90% probability of completing the project on time, when should you begin? So let's say meron tayo, 90% yan. So kinuha ko na kaagad yung deviation niya, which is 1.28. Solve natin yung week. So we get 35.7. 35.7 weeks, the project will be complete. The project should begin 36 weeks earlier in order to be completed on time with a 90% probability. So yun, medyo na siya, sakit na sa ulo. Yun. So dito naman, basing po sa project management na libro na i-share, kasi yung pinapakita ko kasi kanina, more on my research yun. Ito naman yung nasa PDF na book na about project management. Ito po yung pinapakita doon. So, nag-estimate lang tayo nag-averaging tayo doon sa libro. So, ipakita ko lang. So, meron tayong tinatawag kasi na standard deviation. Number of standard deviation away from the mean. So, katulad niyan, so, i-example natin, may IQ score daw. So, ang mean natin is 100. So, kalagitnaan is 100. Is the average IQ. And then, yung standard deviation natin is 15. So, let's say, yung IQ, kasi nga, average nasa gitna, 100. So, every time na standard deviation tayo ng 15, so your IQ belongs to 32%. Kasi nga, nakikita natin na dito na side, dito na side is 68%. So, kaya nakuha ko yung 32%. And then kung dito naman, belong to the 0.3% below average IQ. So ito, example natin yung 32 weeks. So, ang tanong, matatapos ba yung activity in 34 weeks? So, 97.5% probability that the project will be completed in 34 weeks. So, ito yung nasa libro. Then, for 33 weeks, 16% probability that the project will be completed. For 30 weeks, 2.5% probability that the project will be completed. So, yung nakikita nyo palang formula is yung formula na sa libro. So, ito yung nasa libro po. Yung pinakita ko kanina, yung saan ba yun? Yung ganito po, YouTube ko po nakita to. As a summary, we have defined network scheduling techniques and its three major techniques, which is the Gantt chart, the critical path method, and PERT. We have determined the start and finish relationship in Gantt chart, how to construct a project network diagram using activity on arrow and activity on node, perform forward and backward passes, determine project completion time, calculate slack values, how to find the critical path, calculate expected time, calculate variance, calculate probability of completion of project, calculate the project completion time in given probability. So ito po yung na-discuss natin in a summary. So syempre, as shown is my references. So thank you, and that ends for my presentation on network scheduling techniques.
Good evening, classmates. Good evening. On behalf of Group 2, I will discuss the project management, a system approach to planning, scheduling, and controlling. Next, please. Shown is the scope of my presentation.
Sunny, wala yung ano mo, Bok. Wala yung presentation.
Hello, sir. Hello po.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Naka-slideshow ba ako dyan, sir?
Ano lang, sir? PowerPoint lang. Pero okay din naman. Hindi siya naka-slideshow, sir. Gusto mo ba slideshow? Bago mo share, sir, slideshow mo na muna. Kasi tingin ko may nag-i-effect yung internet, ang bagal eh. PowerPoint pa rin, sir. Medyo mabagal yung dating sa akin.
Evening. Nakikita niyo, sir, yung share screen ko, sir?
Naglo-load pa lang, sir. Ayun, PowerPoint pa rin, sir. Okay na siguro yun, sir. PowerPoint pa rin, sir.
Yan, sir.
Naglo-load yan, sir. Kasi mabagal
Hello, sir.
nga yung internet. Naglo-load yan, sir. PowerPoint pa rin ang nadating sa akin eh.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Naka-PowerPoint ka pa rin, sir. Hindi siya naka-presentation.
Sir, pwede i-slideshow mo muna, sir. And then,
Okay.
yung naka-slideshow
Slideshow na bago mo siya i-share.
sir.
Mukhang mas mahina yung internet ni Sir Sunny, no? Nawala na naman siya. Ayan. Okay na, sir.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. Narinig mo na?
Okay na ba yung presentation ko, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Visible na, sir. Pwede ba na simulan, sir? Visible na siya, sir.
Okay, sir. Shown is the scope of my presentation, particularly for the variables for success. So what is success? It is a state or condition of meeting a defined range of expectation. So it is efficiency is related to how the project managers manage its limited resources to meet the goals while building good relationships with internal and external stakeholders. So, predicting project success. It is one of the most difficult tasks as one cannot just predict its success without clear goals and objectives. So, there are three groups that require their actions in order to achieve the project success. Number one, the project manager and team. Uh, they are the ones working for the organization. Then number two, the parent organization. It is the company where project manager and the team work together. Then lastly, the customer's organization. It is the recipient of the organization's services. So there are certain actions that the project manager and the team can take in order to stimulate project success. Number one, assert your right to select key members of the project team. So, importante ito kasi dito yung pagpili natin sa magiging team members natin, dito nakasalalay yung success ng team, ng project management. Then, a crucial team member with a track record of success in their respective disciplines should be chosen. So, develop commitment and a sense of mission from the beginning. So, projectized organizational form and enough authority, then coordinate and maintain good relationships with customers, parents, and team. So, then try to improve the public's perception of the
Okay, parang nawala na ulit si Sir Sunny. Mahina talaga yung internet niya. Sir Sunny. Nawala, no? Narinig niyo ba siya?
Negative po, sir. Wala na po kami naririnig.
Oo. Mukhang mahina talaga yung internet niya. Sige, skipan po ulit muna natin siya. Sino pong kasunod na Sir Sunny?
Sir, baka pwedeng mauna na po ako kasi wala pong kuryente dito sa amin,
Sige,
sir.
sir. Sige, sir. Walang problema, sir.
Until 2400 lang yung genset ko, sir. Baka hindi na po ako butan.
Yes, sir. Sige, sir. Predicting and estimating.
Sir, visible na po ba yung aking presentation?
Yes, sir. Predicting and estimating.
Nasa predicting and estimating slide po siya.
Nasa slide 2 ka, sir. Sa second slide ka.
Seconds.
Okay lang naman. Mukhang introduction na naman. Yung first slide.
Parang nahuhuli yung slide ko, sir, ng isang... Anyway, sir, continue ko na lang, sir.
Sige, sir. Walang problema, sir. Mabagal tingin ko internet ngayon.
Nasa introduction na po yung slide ko, sir.
Sige lang, sir. Sige lang. Hahabulin natin yan.
Yes, sir. Kasi dito sa akin, sir, is on scope of presentation, sir, as shown.
Ayun na nga, scope of presentation.
Yes, sir. Okay. The scope of my presentation, sir, as shown, medyo marami, sir. But I will make it as brief as possible. Although I will be tackling on the pricing process. So dito tayo magfo-focus, sir. And marami dito sa topic na to is more on formula or mahirap pagka i-discuss ko pa isa-isa. So for my introduction, sir, pricing. Pricing is according to the reference, which is by Harold Kersner, sir. It is the essential part of the planning process because it forms the basis of the standards for budget, man-hours, material costs, and contingencies. So many managers regard this as an art. Bakit siya naging art? Kasi nga siguro dahil sa complexities involved, the price varies, paiba-iba. So we have to develop specific pricing strategies in every situation. But in reality, information is available to one bidder is generally available to others. So nandiyan ang information. We have to have a disciplined approach in developing the input for a rational pricing recommendation. So moving on to estimates, it is not blind luck. So hindi ito hugutan or patsamba lang yung ating estimate. Estimates are always in relation with the pricing. They are well-thought decision based on either best available information. Some type of estimates are come up from cost model. So hindi ko na rin isa-isahin to, sir. Maraming cost estimated models like the equation-based regression analysis, cost to quantity, cost to cost relationship, and cost to non-cost relationship. Next would be the global pricing strategies. So, tackle a previous slide na we have to develop a pricing strategies on different situation. However, frequently, there are two situation prevails when one is pursuing project acquisition competitively. So, mayroon ng most scenarios na nangyayari globally. The first one is if the new business opportunity may be one-of-a-kind program with little on or no follow-up potential. A situation is considered as the type 1 acquisition. Pangalawa is the new business entity or that may be an entry point to a larger or follow-up repeat business or may represent a plan or penetration into a new market. This acquisition is classified as type 2 acquisition. So clearly, we have specific but different business objectives. On the type 1, the objective is to win the program and execute it profitably and satisfactorily according to the contractual agreements. While on the type 2 acquisition, is to gain a foothold in new market segment or new customer community in the place of marking profit, which is the objective is to perform with excellence in order to win the whole contract or the larger contract. For the type of estimate, sir, so any company or corporation that wants to remain profitable must continuously improve its estimating and pricing methodologies. So as shown is the different types of estimate used by a company or corporation. The estimate requires information be collected prior to the initiation of the estimating process. So it could be from a similar work, past experience, reference material, surveys, or an interview with an expert. So the first type of estimate is what you call the order of magnitude analysis. Made without any engineering data, has an accuracy of 35% within the scope of the project. But this type of estimate may use the past experience. Next is the approximate estimates, which is also made without detailed engineering data with an accuracy rate of 15%. Estimate is from also previous projects that are similar in scope naman. Next is the labor distribution. The functional units supply their inputs to the program office in the form of man-hours. Kung kanina is budget, ito naman yung works is converted to man-hours. The man-hours per month per task are converted into dollars after multiplying by the appropriate labor rates. After the planning and pricing charts are approved by the program team managers and program managers, they are entered into electronic data processing, EDP, as shown in the figure 14.5. Moving on to overhead rates. Overhead rates are costs allocated to the production of the product service expenses that are not directly tied to the production. So the table shows the elements of overhead rates. Ito yung mga costs na hindi siya directly to the production of the product. It could be yung overtime fees, yung mga building maintenance, building rent, as shown in the table of 14.7. While on material and support costs, it includes the materials, which purchase parts, shipment, yung freight, yung travel, and others causes. Determination of the material cost is very time consuming. More so that cost determination from labor hours, material costs are submitted via bill of materials that includes all vendors. So may mga option 1, 2, or 3 from different vendors from whom purchase will be made. Similar siya sa parang bill of material o cost estimate. Upon release of the work statement, work breakdown structure is subdivided into work description. The end item bill of the material and manufactured plans are prepared as shown in the figure 14.6. End item materials are those items identified as integral part of the production, while support materials consist of those materials required by the engineering and operations to support the manufacture of the end items and are identified on the manufacturing plan. A procurement plan or purchase requisition is prepared as soon as possible after the contract negotiation has been made, as shown in the figure 14.7. For the pricing out the work, using logical pricing technique will help in obtaining detailed estimate. The following 13 steps provide a logical sequence to help the company control its limited resources. These steps may vary
Sir,
from company.
Break lang, break.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, sorry lang kung anong slide yung nakita nyo kasi parang hindi gumagalaw yung slide.
Gumagalaw yung slide, sir.
Nasa 12 slide po ako, sir, sa pricing out the work, sir.
Balikan mo yung ano mo, sir, yung naka-share mo na window. Window ba yan? Tapos doon may galaw, sir. Hindi siya nagalaw eh.
Ano po nakikita niyo sa screen, sir?
Yun pa rin, sir. Yun kung saan ka nag-start, yung scope of presentation. Ay, in-out mo pa, sir. Yes, sir, Bert. Ayun na yun, sir. Sir Bert, okay.
Yes, sir, yun po yun. Thank you.
Naka-share na po, sir?
Ayun, sir. Pricing out the work. Slide 12 na.
Yes, sir. As I was discussing, sir, to i-continue ko na lang po, sir.
Sige, sir. Go ahead, sir.
So using a logical pricing technique will help in obtaining detailed estimates, sir. Given from our reference is the 13 steps in pricing out the work. So as shown, sir. So okay lang ba, sir? Nagmamadali ako. Medyo kuwan na kasi, sir. Medyo paubos na yung...
Sige lang, sir. Walang problema, sir.
Continue, sir. These are example of typical pricing report, sir. These tables are used by project managers as the basis for project cost control and by upper level executives for selecting, approving, and prioritizing projects, sir. Smoothing out department man-hour. So, ginagawa nito pagka, as I understand, sir, pagka insufficient yung fund for salaries or insufficient din yung personnel to conduct the project or may time na nangangailangan ng manpower to complete the project. Smoothing manpower requirements benefit the department managers by eliminating fractional man-hours per day. But should not affect in general the total program cost significantly. Next would be the pricing review procedure. The figures represent the system approach of determining total program cost. So the figure shows represent the procedures normally creates a synergic environment, provides open channel of communication between all levels of the management, and ensure agreement among all individuals as to program costs. So approvals comes from the executive management or yung nasa taas and down to the self natin as the manager, not the customers. We are aiming to win a contract. So yung low bidder dilemma, sabi wag do not be attract to sacrifice yung cost of the job. The question is, what price will win the job? Many managers may think that very low price proposal will help, but winning is only the beginning. So marami pang susunod in order to complete a project. And the lowest bidder may project a risk image regarding the technical performance, cost, or schedule. Despite of the customer pressure towards low cost or fixed price, the lowest bidder is certainly not automatic winner. A compliant, sound, technical, and management proposal based on past experience with realistic, well-documented figures is often chosen over the lowest bidder, who may project a risky image regarding the technical performance, cost, or schedule. Estimating pitfalls. So pitfalls also must be considered in the pricing process. Pitfalls are any things or processes that hinder your project from successful accomplishment. So ito yung mga aberya. Several pitfalls can impede the pricing function. So as shown, sir, yung mga type ng or example of pitfalls. Unfortunately, many of these pitfalls does not become evident until detected by the cost control system well into the project. Moving on, in pricing process also considered the project risk. So risk refers to those dangerous activities or factors that if occur will increase the probability that the project goals, time or cost and performance will not be met. project and plans are living documents and therefore subject to change. Changes are needed in order to prevent this unfortunate situation, which is, this unfortunate situation can be called the project risk. Many risks can be anticipated and controlled. And also, the risk management must be an integral part of the project management throughout the entire cycle of the project. So, as shown, sir, is the steps in risk management process. So shown in this slide is the sample decision element of a project risk, and on the right side is the standard form of risk analysis and contingencies. So meron na silang developed decision elements and also standard form. So disaster of applying the 10% solution to project estimate. Ito yung dapat i-watch out ng mga project managers. It is the situation when the senior management arbitrarily employs 10% solution. Yung 10% solution is actually a budgetary reduction of 10% for each and every project. Even though those with the project that already began. So medyo disastrous itong solution na ito kasi affected yung overall project. It also knows that reduction of fund may sacrifice the quality. So it would be cost versus the quality of the project. However, there are two viable alternatives rather than choosing the 10% solution. First is applying 10% solution but only on the selected project after a thoroughly impact study. The second choice is to cancel or descope selected project or simply delaying it until the next fiscal year, which is the more viable choice. After all, why should all the projects have to suffer when you can terminate one or two projects within the allowable existing resources to be used more effectively, more productivity, and with the higher organizational morale? The 10% solution mostly used to create funds for additional activities which are budget are not existent. For next, life cycle costing. So the life cycle costs are the total cost to the organization for the ownership and acquisition of a product over its full life. This includes cost in research and development, production, operational support, until its disposal. So, successful application of the life cycle cost can provide other courses of action. So, bago pa natin makuha yung item, procure items or the project, meron na tayong makakapag-plan na tayo for the courses of action in case yung ma-down or like the items is masira or depending on use, the supportability requirement, increase operational readiness, and minimize or lower our logistical support costs. Shown is the 10 elements of the logistic support. So next is the capital budgeting. It is the process of identifying the financial benefit, which may be defined as the decision-making process by which organization evaluate projects. Project managers are often called upon to active participate during the benefit to cost analysis of the project selection. It is highly unlikely that companies will approve a project where the costs exceed the benefits. So benefits can be measured in either financial or non-financial terms. So in order to understand it, we should know the value of the payback period, discounted cash flow, net present value, internal or the internal rate of return. Payback period is the exact length of time needed for a firm to recover its initial investment as calculated from cash inflows. So may mga formula ito given on the reference, hindi ko na diniscuss further kasi medyo tatagal na rin given the time of presentation, sir. So discounted cash flow is the comparison purpose is a viable way to assess the value of the investment. Net present value is a positive value of the net present value indicates the firm will earn return equal to or greater than its cost of the capital. The internal rate of return is the discount rate where the present value of the cash inflows is exactly equal to the initial investment. In the risk analysis, refers to the chance that the selection of this project will prove to be acceptable or unacceptable. In capital budgeting, risk analysis is most entirely based upon how well we can predict cash inflows since the initial investment is usually known with some degree of certainty. The inflows, of course, are based upon sales projection, taxes, cost of raw materials, labor rates, and general economic conditions. While on the capital rationing is the process of selecting the best group of projects such as the highest overall net present value that will result without exceeding the total budget available. And for my last slide, sir, project financing involves establishment of a legally independent project company, usually for a large-scale investment, and a long-term where the providers of fund are repaid out of cash flow earnings and where the assets of the unit are used as a collateral basis. So that's all for my topic, sir. Thank you.
So the scope of my presentation includes the following, sir: introduction, customer reporting, a bar chart, other conventional presentation techniques, and logic diagram or network, sir. Customers and contractors are interested mainly in three vital control parameters: the time, cost, and performance. All schedules and charts should consider these three parameters and their relationship to corporate resources. Information to ensure proper project evaluation is usually obtained through four methods: the first-hand observation. First-hand observation are an excellent tools for obtaining unfiltered information, but they may not be possible on large projects. The second is the oral and written reports. Although oral and written reports are a way of life, they often contains either too much or not enough detail, and significant information may be disguised. The third one is the review and techniques interchange meeting. Review and technical interchange meeting provides face-to-face communication and can result in immediate agreement on problem definition or solution, such as changing the schedule. The difficulty is in selecting of attendees from customers and contractors organization. Then lastly is the graphical display. Good graphical display may make the information easy to identify and are the prime means for tracking cost, schedule, and performance. Proper graphical display can result in cutting project cost and reducing the time scales, coordinating and expediting planning, eliminating idle time, obtaining better scheduling and control of subcontractor activities, developing better troubleshooting procedures, cutting time for routine decisions but allowing more time for decision making. There are more than 30 visual methods for representing activities. The method chosen should depend on the intended audience. For example, upper level management may be interested in cost and integration of activities. With very little details, summary type charts normally suffice for this purpose. Daily practitioners, on the other hand, may require considerable details for customers. The presentation should include cost and performance data. When presenting cost and performance data, figures and graphs should be easily understood and a diagram should quickly Hello, sir. Naririnig niyo pa po ako, sir?
Yes, sir. Pero tumigil ka sa word quickly. Yes, huli ko narinig, quickly.
Ay, sir. Quickly convey the intended message or objective. In many organizations, each department or division may have its own method of showing scheduling activities. Research and development organization prefers to show the logic of activities rather than integration of activities that would normally be represented of a manufacturing plant. The ability to communicate is a prerequisite for successful management of program review meeting, technical interchange meeting, customer summary meetings, and in-house management control meetings all require different representative form of current program performance status. The final form of the schedule may be bar chart, graphs, tables, bubble charts, or logical diagram. These are described in the section that follows. The most common types of display is the bar or the Gantt chart, named for Henry Gantt, who first utilized these procedures in the early 1990s. The bar chart is a means of displaying simple activities or events plotted against time or dollar. An activity represents the amount of work required to proceed from one point in time to another. Events are described as either the starting or the end point of either one or several activities. Bar charts are most commonly used for exhibiting programs progress or defining specific works required to accomplish an objective. Bar charts often include such items as listing of activities, activity duration, scheduled dates, progress to date. Bar charts are advantageous in that they are simple to understand and easy to change. They are simplest and latest complex means to portray progress of the lack of it and can easily be expanded to identify specific elements that may either be behind or ahead of schedule. Bar chart provides only a vague description of how the entire program or project reacts as a system and have three major limitations. First, bar charts do not show the interdependence of the activities and therefore do not represent a network of activities. This relationship between activity is crucial for controlling program cost. Without this relationship, bar charts have little predictive value. Figure 1 shows 9 activities requires to start up a production line for a new production. Each bar in the figure represents a single activity. It is a typical bar chart that would be developed by the program office or the program inception. Thus, the long lead procurement activity is the figure requires that contract be signed before the procurement can begin. Can the manufacturer plans be written without material specification activities being completed? The second major discrepancy is that the bar chart cannot show the result of either an early or late start in the activity. How will a slippage of the manufacturer schedule activity in Figure 1 affects the completion date of the program? Can the manufacturing schedule activity begin 2 weeks later than the show and still serve as the input to the bill of materials activity? What will be the result of the crash program completed activities in 16 weeks after go ahead instead of the original planned 19 weeks? Bar chart do not reflect true project status because elements behind the schedules do not mean that the program or the project is behind the schedule. The third limitation is that the bar chart does not show the uncertainty involved in performing the activity and therefore does not readily admit itself to sensitivity analysis. For instance, what is shortest time that an activity might take? What it takes the longest time? What is the average of the expected time of the activity completion? Even with this limitation, bar charts do not in fact serve as a useful tools for the program analysis. Some of the limitation of bar charts can overcome by combining single activities as shown in Figure 2. The weakness in this method is that the number representing each of the activities do not indicate whether it is the beginning or the end of the activity. Therefore, the number shows represents even rather than activity together with proper identification as before. No distinction is made as to whether event 2 must be completed prior to the start of the event 3 or 4. The chart also fails to define clearly the relationship between the multiple activities on a single bar. For example, must event 3 be completed prior to event 5? Often combined activity bar chart can converted to milestone by bar chart by placing a smaller triangle at a strategic location in the bar to indicate completion of certain milestone within each activity or grouping of activities as shown in Figure 3. The exact definition of the milestone differs from company to company but usually implies some points where major activities either begin or end or cost data become critical. Bar charts can be converted to partial interrelationship chart by indicating with arrows the order in which activity must be performed. Figure 4 represents the partial interrelationship of the activities in Figure 1 and 2. The most common method of presenting data to both in-house management and customer is through the use of bar chart. Care must be taken not to make the figure overly complex so that more than one interpretation can exist. A great deal of information and color can be included in bar chart. Figure 5 shows a group bar chart for comparison of 3 projects performed during the different years. When using different shaded techniques, each area must be easily definable and no major contrast should exist between shaded areas, except for possibly the current project. When group bars appears on one chart, non-shaded bars should be avoided. Each bar should have some sort of shading, whether it cross-hatched or color-coded. Contrasting shaded to non-shaded area is normally used for comparing project progress to actual progress, as shown in Figure 6. The tracking date line indicates that the time when the cost or the data or performance data were analyzed. Project 1 is behind schedule, Project 2 is ahead of schedule, and Project 3 is on target. Unfortunately, the upper portion of the figure 6 does not indicate that the cost attributed to the status of the project. By plotting the total program cost against the same time access as shown in figure 6, a comparison between cost and performance can be made. From the upper section of figure 6, it is impossible to tell the current program cost position. From the lower section, however, it becomes evident that the program is heading for a cost overrun, possibly due to Project 1. It is generally accepted to have the same shading techniques represent different situations, provided clear separation between the shaded region appears in figure 6. Another common means of comparison or comparing activity or project is through the use of a step arrangement bar chart. In figure 7, another common use of technique is a schematic model. Organizational charts are schematic models that depicts the interrelationship between individual organization or functions within an organization. One organization chart normally cannot suffice for describing total programs interrelationship. Another type of schematic representation is the workflow chart, synonymous with the application of flow charting for computer programming. Pictorial represents, although often a cost procedures, can add colors quality to any proposal, and they are easier to understand than a logical or bubble chart. Because customers may request a tour during activities to relate to the pictorial figures, program management should avoid pictorial representation of activities that may be closed off to the customer's viewing, possibly due to security or safety. Block diagram can be used to describe the flow of activities. Block diagram can be used to show how information is distributed throughout an organization or how a process or activity is assembled. Block diagram, schematic, pictorials, and logic flows of all fulfills a necessary need for describing the wide variety of activity within a company. The figure and charts are more than descriptive techniques. They can also provide management within the necessary tools for decision making. Probably the most difficult figure to construct is the logic diagram. Logic diagram are developed to illustrate the inductive and deductive reasoning necessary to achieve some objective within a given time frame. The major difficulty in developing logic diagram is the inability to answer such key questions as what happens if something goes wrong? Can I quantity any part of the diagram's major element? Logic diagrams are constructed similar to bar charts on the supposition that nothing will go wrong, are usually accompanied by detailed questions. Possibly in the checklist format that requires answering the following questions would be representative of those asked for RD projects. These types of questions are applicable to many other forms of data presentation, not only in logical diagram. That ends my presentation, sir.
Is basically the cost in doing the project, sir. So cost control is also, it's not only monitoring the cost, but also recording data and also analyzing the data in order to take corrective action before it is too late. It should be performed by all personnel who incur costs, not merely the project office. So dapat yung gastos natin sa paggawa ng projects dapat na monitor ng lahat involved in doing sa project. So kung may budget kayo sa team nyo, dapat na-monitor nyo yung cost in accomplishing your task. Cost control implies good cost management, which includes cost estimating, cost accounting, project cash flow, company cash flow, direct labor costing, overhead rate costing, and other tactics such as incentives, penalties, and profit sharing. Cost control is actually a subsystem of the management cost and control system rather than a complete system per se. The operating cycle is what is commonly referred to as the cost control system. Failure of a cost control system to accurately describe the true status of a project does not necessarily imply that the cost control system is at fault. The designing of a planning system must take into account the cost control system. For this reason, it is common for the planning cycle to be referred to as planning and control, whereas the operating cycle is referred to as cost and control. Sir, as you can see sa diagram, sir, yung first part ng system talaga po, sir, is yung planning. Yan yung nakikita sa leftmost, sir, yung planning cycle. So, sinasabi dito sa cost control, dapat sa planning, sir, meron din tayong in-establish na system kung paano natin ma-monitor yung gastos natin sa isang project. While yung operating cycle, dyan talaga yung cost control natin kasi dyan tayo nang gumagastos ng pera natin to implement the project. The planning and control system must help management project the status towards objective completion. Its purpose is to establish policies and procedures and techniques that can be used in the day-to-day management and control of projects and programs. It must therefore provide information that gives a picture of true work progress, will relate costs and schedule of performance, identify potential problems with respect to their sources, provides information to project managers with a practical level of summarization, and demonstrates that the milestones are valid, timely, and auditable. The project budget that is sold from the planning cycle of the MCCS must be reasonable, attainable, and based on contractually negotiated costs and the statement of work. The basis for the budget is either historical costs, best estimates, or industrial engineering standards. The budgets must identify planned manpower requirements and contract allocated funds and management reserve. Standards. Performance results standards are quantitative measurements and include such items as quality of work, quantity of work, cost of work, and time to complete. Process standards are qualitative, including personnel, functional, and physical factors relationship. Advantages of having standards is that they provide a means for unity, basis for effective control, and incentive for others. While its disadvantages is performance is often frozen, and employees are quite often unable to adjust to the differences. As a tool for measuring progress and controlling change, the systems must be able to measure resources consumed, measure status and complete accomplishment, compare measurements to the project and standards, and provide the basis for diagnosis and replanning. Project planning and control systems. The following are the design requirements for this. A common framework for which to integrate time, cost, and technical performance. It must have the ability to track progress of significant parameters. Must have a quick response. This must be capable for end value prediction. It should be accurate and appropriate data for decision making by each level of management. Has full exemption reporting with problem analysis capability, and has an immediate quantitative evaluation of alternative solutions. To further understand this, The effective management of a program during the operating cycle requires that a well-organized cost and control system must be designed, developed, and implemented so that immediate feedback can be obtained, whereby the up-to-date usage or resources can be compared to target objectives established during the planning cycle. The requirements for an effective control system for both cost and scheduled performance should include thorough planning of the work to be performed to complete the project, good estimating of time, labor, and cost, clear communication of the scope of required tasks, a disciplined budget and authorization of expenditure, timely accounting of physical progress and cost expenditures, periodic re-estimation of time and cost to complete remaining work, and frequent periodic comparison of actual progress and expenditures to schedules and budgets, both at the time of comparison and at project completion. The first purpose of control is the verification process accomplished by the comparison of actual performance to date with the predetermined plans and standards set forth in the planning phase. The second purpose of control is decision making. So basically, sir, in this graph, sir, yung dotted line dyan po, sir, is yung possible cost reduction, while yung solid line po is yung cost change, while yung vertical po, yun yung projected project cost, tapos yung sa horizontal is yung project lifecycle phase. As you can see, sir, during the start ng project, sir, yung project cost, sir, since start pa lang, sir, mababa pa yan, sir. But habang tumatagal, sir, tumataas yung project cost, sir, as the cycle goes. While yung dun sa possibility cost reduction, since ito, yung may plan budget tayo, sir, habang ginagastos natin yung budget ng while in-implement yung project, yung possibility natin to reduce the cost, sir, nagde-decrease, sir, kasi nagagastos natin yung budget. So yan yung pagkaintindi ko sa graph na to, sir. There are 4 phases in the operating cycle. First is the work authorization and release. Second is cost data collection and reporting. Cost analysis, then the reporting. Phase 2 is considered as a work release. After planning is completed and a contract is received, work is authorized via work description document. The work description or project work authorization form is a contract that contains the narrative description, organization, and time frame for each WS level. This multi-purpose form is used to release the contract, authorize planning, record detailed description of the work outlined in the work breakdown structure, and release work to the functional departments. Bale dito sa phase 2, sir, bale once authorized na, sir, bale ito na yung parang job order natin kung nandun na lahat ng budget, kung anong gagawin ng kada tao, sir, nandito na, sir, yung nandun na ka na-indicate. While yung contract services may require a work description form to release the contract. The contractual work description form sets forth general contractual requirements and authorizes program management to proceed. For account codes, cost account is an identified level at a natural intersection point of the work breakdown structure and the organizational breakdown structure at which functional responsibility for the work is assigned. Actual direct labor, material, and other directed costs are compared with actual work performed for management control purposes. So, bale po, sir, each
Nawala po
division...
ata, sir, yung presentation.
Nawala. Nakikita mo, sir?
Yes, sir.
So bali dito po sa graph na po to sir, is you can see sir, yung each division sir may certain account code na binigay dyan sir. So for example, engineering division may ang account code niya 2,000. So ito yung mga ginagamit sa pagka-identify ng cost para ma-sort yung gastos per division or per department ng gastos nila. So lahat ng gastos ng engineering divisions mafo-fall siya sa account ko na 2,000. So yung under sa 2,000, meron naman siya mga sub divisions like project engineering, structural engineering. So doon na pupunta yung account ko to help sa decision maker ma-sort out at ma-analyze yung mga gastos appropriate apportioned effort activity completed with a given time period. This is sometimes referred as earned value. While actual cost for work performed, ACWP, is the amount reported as actually expended in completing the work accomplished within a given period. This cost can be applied to any level of the work breakdown structure in program, project, task, subtask, work package. For work that is completed in program or anticipated using this definition, the following variance definition are obtained. Cost variance is equals to BCWP minus ACWP. A negative variance indicates a cost overrun condition. Ibig sabihin sir, dito sa CV, pagka negative yung, pag mas malaki yung actual kaysa sa plan mo sir, maging cost overrun yung condition mo. While yung schedule variance is yung BCWP minus BCWS, a negative var indicates a behind schedule condition. Ibig sabihin sir, parang delay yung pagkatrabaho. In both cost and schedule, costs are used as the lowest common denominator. In other words, the schedule variance is given as a function of cost. To alleviate this problem, the variance are usually converted to percentage. Cost variance percentages is equals to CV over BCWP, while schedule variance is SB over BCWS. Bali ginagawa tong percentage to mas madali makita kung nakakaroon ka ng cost overrun condition or behind schedule condition ka. Kaya mas maganda kung sa mga project managers na kino-convert nila to percentage to better, mas madali siya ma-understand. In recording material costs using the earned value measurement, using earned value measurement, the actual cost for work performed represent those direct and indirect costs identified specifically for the project at hand. But the recorded and reported costs must relate specifically to this effort. Recording direct labor costs usually presents no problem since labor costs are normally recorded as the labor is accomplished. Therefore, recorded and reported labor will be the same. Material costs, on the other hand, may be recorded at various times. Material costs can be recorded as commitments, expenditure, accruals, and applied costs. All provide useful information and are important for control purposes. Bale sir, yung direct labor costs, hindi nakakaroon ng difference talaga to sa labor since pagbayad mo, actual na yung pagbayad. But yung material, paminsan over time, napapalit yung presyo. For example, yung pagbili mo ng semento ngayon is sabi natin 100 peso, baka next week 120 kaya nakakaroon ng price difference. So kailangan natin lagi ma-update yung kung magkano yung mga presyo at kailan nabibili for it na magkaroon ng vital information yan para maging accurate yung pagiging cost control natin. At a minimum, the contractor's material accounting system must provide for the following: accurate cost accumulation and assignment of costs to cost accounts in a manner consistent with budgets using recognized acceptable costing techniques. determination of material price variance by comparing planned versus actual commitments, cost performance measurement at a point in time most suitable for the category of material involved, but no earlier than the time of actual receipt of material. Determination of material cost variance attributed to excess usage of material, determination of unit or lot costs when applicable, and fully accountability for all material purchased for the project, including residual inventory. In order to satisfy these 6 requirements, the following accounting practices should be adhered to. The material cost actuals must equate to its material plans and be carried down to the cost account level of the WBS. The material price variance must be determinable by comparing planned commitments to actual commitments. Physical work progress or earned value must be determinable, but not before the materials have been received. Usage cost variance must be determinable from excess material usage, material unit costs, and
So there are 7 steps for trade-off analysis. The first one is recognizing and understanding the basis for project conflicts. It is followed by reviewing the project objectives, analyzing the project environment and status, identifying the alternative courses of action, analyzing and selecting the best alternative, and the last one is revising the project plan. Recognizing and understanding the basis for project conflicts is the first step in any decision-making process. And this first step aids in understanding the cause of the conflict and the need of trade-offs. Most causes can be categorized as human errors or failures, and certain problems in totally unexpected problems. After we recognize and we understand the basis for project conflicts, we will now review the project objectives, which is the second step. A complete review of the project objectives as seen by the various participants in the projects, ranging from the top management to project team members. The objectives and our priorities were originally set after considering many environmental factors, some of which may have changed over the lifetime of the project. So in this step, this will require reviewing project documentation, which includes project objectives, project integration into sponsors' objectives and strategic plan, statement of work, schedule, cost and performance specifications, and resources consumed and projected. After natin review ang project objectives, this will be followed by, we will now analyze the project environment and the status. This includes a detailed measurement of the actual time, cost, and performance results with the original or revised project plan. In this step, it focuses on the project results, problem, and roadblocks. Factors such as financial risk, potential follow-up contracts, and the status of other projects and relative competition positions are just a few of the environmental factors that should be reviewed. So after natin ma-analyze ang project environment and status, we will now identify the alternative courses of action. So in this step, brainstorming the possible methods of completing the project by compromising time, cost, or performance. In this step, this will refine possible alternatives into 3 or 4 most likely scenarios for project completion. In order to fully identify the alternatives, the project manager must have specific answer to key questions involving time, cost, and performance. Once we identify the 4 or 3 most likely scenarios or alternative courses of action, we will now analyze them and we select the best alternative. So analyzing the alternatives should include the preparation of the revised project objectives for cost, performance, and time, along with the analysis of the required resources, general schedules, and revised project plans necessary to support each scenario. It is then the function of the top management in conjunction with the project and functional managers to choose the solution that minimizes the overall impact to the company. because this impact need to be measured just in short-term financial results, but should include long-term strategic and market considerations. So one of the best methods for comparing the alternative is to list them and then rank them low on business, cost deficit, and loss of goodwill. After we analyze and select the best alternative, we will now proceed with the last step, which is revising the project plan. So the project manager usually identifies the alternatives and prepares his recommendation. He then submits his recommendation to top management for approval. And then the top management involvement is necessary because project manager may try to make corrective action in a vacuum. Dito, the top management normally makes decision based on the following. First one is the firm's policies on quality, integrity, and image, the ability to develop a long-term client relationship, type of project, size and complexity of the project, other projects underway or planned, company's cash flow, bottom line, impact on affiliated organizations, competitive risk, and technical risks. So after choosing a new course of action from the list of alternatives, management and especially the project team must focus on achieving the revised projects. This will require detailed replanning of the project, which include new schedules, per charts, work breakdown structures, and other key benchmarks. In revising the project plan, the entire management team must all be committed to achieve the revised project plan. So there are contracts that influence the projects. So after we make final decision on whether to trade off cost, time, or performance, it varies depending on the type of contract. The following are the common types of contracts and the order in which trade-offs will be made. The first one is the firm fixed price contract, fixed price incentive fee contract, cost plus incentive fee contract, cost plus award free contract, cost plus fixed fee contract. The firm fixed price contract means time, cost, and performance are all specified within the contract and are the contractor's responsibility because all constraints are equally important with respect to this type of contract. The sequence of resources sacrifices the same as a project-driven organization. While in fixed price incentive fee contract, cost is measured to determine the incentive fee, and thus is the last constraint to be considered for trade-off. Because performance is usually more important than schedule for project completion, time is considered the first constraint for trade-off and performance is a second. On the other hand, the cost plus incentive fee contract, costs are reimbursed and measured for the determination of the incentive fee. Thus, cost is the last constraint to be considered for trade-off. As with the fixed price incentive fee, performance is usually more important than scheduled for project completion, and so the sequence is the same as the FPIF contract. For the cost plus award fee contract, the costs are reimbursed to the contractor, but the award fee is based on the performance by the contractor. Thus, cost must be the first constraint to be considered for trade-off, and performance would be the last constraint to be considered. The last type of contract is the cost plus fixed fee, wherein costs are reimbursed to the contractor. Thus, cost would be the first constraint to be considered for trade-off. Although there are no incentives for efficiency in time of or performance, there may be penalties for bad performance. Thus, time is a second constraint to be considered for trade-off, and performance is a third. In conclusion, project managers must be willing to control minor trade-offs as well as major ones. However, the availability of specific options is a function of the particular environment. Probably the greatest contribution of a project manager makes to a project team organization is stability in adverse conditions. Interpersonal relationships have a great deal to do with the alternatives available and their ability of success, since team performance will be required. A combination of management skill and sensitivity, project managers can make the trade-offs, encourage the team members, and reassure the project sponsor in order to produce a satisfactory project. That's all, sir, for trade-off analysis. Thank you, sir.
Okay, salamat, ma'am. Okay, meron po ba? Meron pang kasunod yung mag-asawa.
Wala na po, sir. Ay,